Hi everyone, Kelsey here, and I thought I would quickly go over how to prep your wood. This is just, we're going to pretend as if we're doing a raw wood project. I've got some samples here. These were just some, old pieces that I had hanging out in storage, but I thought they'd be perfect for this. So the first thing you always want to do is clean it well. So this actually had some old like little spots on it. So I did already kind of wipe it down with some 50/50 denatured alcohol and let it dry out for a day. It actually cleaned it up pretty good. And then you don't always have to do that, but again, this was like really old and been sitting in my shed a long time. It had spiders on it and everything. So the first thing you're gonna do is sand. I'm starting with just some 120 sandpaper. You don't always have to go to this low of a grit. You don't always have to go to this high. There's not really a particular one that you have to use every time. It really does just depend on the type of wood that you're working with. For this piece that I have here though, it'll be perfectly fine. So I did do it a bit already outside because I didn't want to get the worst of it here on this table. But I'll still show you how it goes. So you want to just take your sandpaper and you want to go with the grains of the wood, like that. So this 120 is going to get the worst of it, as far as like the big pieces and stuff that are hanging out, just to really get it level. Just going to dry that out there. All right. And then you always want to make sure that you clean off your sanding dust before you go to the next step. I just have a microfiber towel here. This is a little damp. I put some water on it. Just going to kind of get off that sanding dust. Not too much in this case because, again, I did already go over it. And then I am going to hit it with 1 grit higher. This here is 200 grit sanding pad, so doesn't hurt to go over it, get it a little more smooth. Again, you want to go with the grains, hold it back here so you can see it, with the grains of the wood. Now, if you have an electric sander, all power to you, please be free to use it. But I just wanted to kind of do a quick tutorial for you guys, because I know a lot of you are new to wood finishing, and I'm really excited to be, on this journey with you. All right, I think we got it pretty good. That's my homemade air compressor. All right, and then I just really want to make sure that I get off all that sanding dust really well. That's very important because any sanding dust that you get trapped in your finish or in your sealer, it's going to stay there. On these first levels, I mean, you can sand it out, and you probably may anyways when you're sanding down your sealer. But still, it's good practice, and we want to keep up with, starting with the right habits from the beginning. Alrighty, so I'm going to next show you how to apply your sealer. So in this case, I'm going to use our amber toned sanding sealer. The reason I'm doing amber toned is because I want to show you how it looks on just raw wood when you're wanting to enhance the color. We do have a clear sealer that you can use. And if you're staining, you always do your stain first and your sealer after. But in this case, again, we're going to just go as if we're doing a raw piece of wood here. And the amber toned also brings out the colors of the wood grain, which for a wood like this is just kind of, meh by itself. I think this will really help bring out the color and make it pretty. Always stir really well before you start. All right, I have a brush here I used earlier, so we're going to use the same one. So again, you always want to do the dip and drip method is what I'm always talking about, right? So you dip it in. Hopefully you can see it here. I'm going to hold it this way. Lift it and drip like this. Reason being is if you're going and you're wiping it on the sides of the can this way and that, you're actually creating a lot of excess bubbles. And why give yourself extra work if you don't have to? All right, and then you just want to do nice, smooth strokes along the grain of the wood. Get it nice and wet. I'm making a mess here. Do a little bit more. This sanding sealer dries pretty quick and it's fairly thin, so you don't have to be quite as cautious with, making it super, super thin. But again, as you can see, I'm just wetting the wood. I'm still not sopping it on in like a big thick coat. And you can already see how it enhanced that wood color. All right, so it's looking pretty good. I've got a few small bubbles, but they'll work out on their own. I missed a corner here. Just gonna kind of hold it to the light and make sure I didn't miss any spots. Especially when you get the wood a little damp before you start like I did. It's very easy to miss where you put your sanding sealer that first coat. All right, see that there? And then any small bubbles, gone. And any others should come out on their own as it dries. So I'm gonna move this to the side here. And I have another piece I did earlier. This came from the same stack, and this one I already put down a coat of sanding sealer. So it is a bit rough still, I can feel it. So I'm gonna go back over this one. Now that the sealer has applied, you wanna do your next level of sanding. Depending on how rough it is, will depend on what grit sandpaper you wanna use. In this case, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with the 200 because it is pretty gritty in some spots. I'm gonna get that real well. All right, much better. And then I'm gonna hit it with this 600 grit just to get it even finer. Now again, this second part of sanding was done after I applied 2 coats of sanding sealer, okay? But it really helps minimizing the sanding that you have to do a lot. So you can see I keep touching it, it's so smooth now. And I don't see any dust, but just to be safe, we're gonna go ahead and clean it up. All right, and now I'm gonna show you how to apply our top coats. So let's move this sealer over here. And I got out some of our matte Extreme Protection Poly. Brand new container. You know what? Did I bring a key to prop this open? Oh, let's try this little popsicle stick. Just get it right on the edge. Usually I use my set of keys and just kind of dig it in there. All right, 1 second. All right, here we go. There we go. See, just right up under the edge like that all the way around. There we go. All right, let's just set this to the side here. I hope you can see okay. And again, I'm gonna use the other end of the stick here. You always stir. So stir really well, especially with the matte, because the matte has the flattening agents in it to give you that matte sheen as, you know, opposed to the gloss. So you always, especially with matte, want to stir really, really well. But you don't need a mixer or anything crazy. All right, I think I got it pretty good already. Gonna let that drip out. Okay, and honestly, it's very similar to the sealer. You dip and drip. You can see that all right. Again, you drip it to help prevent those extra bubbles. And honestly, I think it gives you the perfect amount on your brush for when you do your application and really helps you kind of, you know, start off on the right track. So you want to do nice smooth stroke all the way across and go the other way. Nice smooth stroke and just get the whole surface completely wet. And that's it. So you want a nice thin coat. You want to make sure it's wet all the way across. You don't need to overwork it. I probably got some streaks in there for my brush. Got a few bubbles. Hopefully you can see that there. Try to hold it as best as I can. And I do have a few small bubbles there. Just gonna blow them out. And then again, any very small ones or streaks, they're going to work out as it dries as long as you leave it alone and you're in the proper temperature and humidity, okay? And then your brush, it really doesn't matter. I use the Taklon. It's just my personal favorite. You can use a bristle brush, foam brush, or if you know how to use a spray gun, you can spray it on directly from the container and nothing else needed. And that's all. So I would just let this dry 2 to 4 hours, depending on your temp and humidity. Right now, everything seems to be drying fairly quickly. And after those 2 hours up, I can recoat it with another coat if I like. Okay? Have a great night, guys.